Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, that's-
Emily,
What's it? 1-6.
thanks for being here.
Baseball all day, so you guys, shut me up. I love the game. I have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I played ball. Played up until I went to the military in 2000. My dream.
Yeah.
Fun.
See, I'm like, that's streaming. Used to have open cutouts down here.
I got scouted by American.
I got down to like the last week and the coach comes over and he goes, I just can't see you getting taken out second place.
Funny.
Oh, thanks a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I got picked up by yeah, for sure. So we had an open tryout at Marist.
All right, I know we're ready to roll here, guys.
Here we go.
Here we go. All right, welcome everybody to our Hudson 7 War Council's hybrid meeting. Today is Wednesday, July 10th. Yep. Unbelievable. I'm Gary Bassett. I'm also the mayor of the Village of Rhinebeck and chair of the Hudson 7. The Hudson 7 hybrid meetings will be streamed live on our Hudson 7's YouTube channel. Public is advised to subscribe to this channel. In-person meetings occur here at the Poughkeepsie Water Treatment Facility located at 3431 North Road, Poughkeepsie. Public comment is allowed both in person and remotely. Please visit our website to learn how you can provide public comment by visiting www.hudson7.org. Visit our meeting page. In attendance tonight, we do have a quorum. We'll go around the room and then on the screen. I'm going to start with my right.
Devin Rigolino, Dutchess County.
Rebecca Martin, Source Water Protection Coordinator for the Hudson 7.
Richard Distal, City of Poughkeepsie.
Ross Gilmore, Town of Lloyd.
Eric Weinstock, Town of Hyde Park.
Well, Nick Butler, Town of Stokes, $40 superintendent.
All right, up in the upper left-hand corner on my screen, we have Emily. Emily Svensson, sorry, the two Emilys.
Hi, Emily Svensson, Technical Advisor.
Now, Emily Vale.
Emily Vale, Hudson River Watershed Alliance.
And then Shannon,
Shannon Roback, Riverkeeper Technical Advisor.
Paul,
Paul Malmrose, Engineering Technical Advisor.
Andy. Dan, excuse me.
Dan Shapley, Riverkeeper Technical Advisor. Hello, everyone.
And Drew.
Hello, everyone. Drew Gamble, Senior Attorney with Riverkeeper.
Very good. Thank you, everybody. We do have a little bit on the agenda tonight, but we're going to try to be very effective at getting through. Many of us, including myself, want to go swimming. Okay, and before it cools down, which I don't think it will. All right.
In the Hudson, right?
Yeah, in the Hudson. Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from 6/12/24. Do I have a second? Russ, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Becca, you have Elizabeth Treasurer's report, correct?
Yes, I do. So, as of 6/28, 6250 was paid to the coordinator. For the June 2024 consultant, that is me. The Hudson 7 has earned $109.14 of interest for last month. Year to date is $660.08 at 3% interest. And the current fund balance is $38,119.30.
Might as well keep you on the podium.
Yes, so I have my consultant report for the month of June. Sorry, I'm focused here and here and here. And I submitted that to you all. I don't know if you have any questions about it, or if you want me to go over any highlights. Please advise. Anybody have any questions about the report? No?
See none.
Great. Well, thank you all for letting me serve. Yeah, you're welcome. Communications. So we have a handful of communications. Kelly Vander Villette is now the new DOH Regional Director. My apologies if I've mispronounced her name. Eric Weigert is now the Director, Bureau of Community Environmental Health. food protection. He was nice enough to make the introduction, so
Who does Kelly replace? Who does she replace?
Eric Weiger,
Oh, so Eric moved up,
yes,
Kelly moved in.
Kelly
Gotcha.
moved in.
Okay.
We could write a little hello to Kelly if you wanted from Hudson 7, a welcome.
We have a good relationship with them. It
Yeah.
might be good to reach out as a time.
Yeah, say hello.
Yeah.
Okay. Jeff M. Albert, who PE Associate Public Health Engineer from the Ulster County Department of Health, requested to be on the Hudson 7 email list. We welcome Jeff. Hudson 7 took the Hudson River Watershed Alliance's right there. Organizational assessment. We have Emily Vale here today, who's here just to listen in on our organizational structure discussion. So we submitted our assessment, and the Hudson River Watershed Alliance and River Network are currently developing a resource toolbox, and will also help us understand what priorities might be for individual consulting. And we're hoping it can also serve as an internal evaluation tool for your group. So we're waiting for an update on that. Drew Gamels from Riverkeeper, who's been promoted to senior attorney. Congratulations, Drew.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's terrific. Submitted an update about PCVs, but I wonder, Drew, while you're here, if you just want to maybe speak to this bullet point and tell us a little more about 5-year review dropping today. You can just unmute so you can share.
Yeah,
those.
absolutely. So we've been waiting for this moment for over a year. EPA has released the draft third 5-year review. They have deferred rendering a protectiveness determination, meaning they have not determined whether the Upper Hudson River cleanup is protective of human health and the environment. And they said that they need more fish and sediment data. However, they did say that they plan to release an addendum after they've collected more data. That addendum should be released by 2027. In addition to having an addendum, they also said that they'll be doing additional monitoring and special studies to bolster the data. But, Riverkeeper's position is still that, and this is a draft. So there's a 90-day public comment period. Public comments on the draft third 5-year review will be accepted until October 8th, and there'll be multiple meetings held by the Hudson River Community Advisory Group, by Friends of Clean Hudson Coalition, which Riverkeeper is a part of, and by EPA itself. So plenty of opportunities to learn more about the contents of the 5-year review, but it is still Riverkeeper's position that we will be continuing to push for a not protective determination rather than a protectiveness deferred. So this is going to be 90 days of continued hard work and meetings to continue to pressure EPA, and then they will take those comments and they will respond to them and finalize the 5-year review.
Just to add to that, today the CBI, who's EPA, is the Consensus Building Institute, who's the consultant for the EPA, sent out a notice that there is a community advisory group, a CAG meeting on the 5-year review on Wednesday, July 31st. So I can send around, that just came out this afternoon. Anybody can register to attend. So
And
I'll
that meeting is 1 to 4 on
yes,
July 31st.
right. And they're gonna probably record it, yeah.
They don't typically record their meetings. They'll publish the PowerPoint presentations on the website, but they don't record the meeting.
Okay.
So definitely encourage if you're available to attend, it would be a good opportunity. The EPA has issued their virtual information session, which will be held August 21st at 6 p.m. If you go to the Hudson River PCB Superfund site website, EPA's website, they have a registration link for that meeting.
Yeah, I sent that around this afternoon. So you can sign up to that. And August 21st, why is it 2 months from now? Is there a reason for that? Just curious, Drew.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they're waiting so long. I also don't know if EPA plans to do any in-person meetings or any other virtual meetings. We will be submitting a letter to request for additional meetings, but there's no guarantee that they will have those meetings. So I think it's important to keep that in mind as well. But the Friends of Clean Hudson Coalition will be doing its own webinar definitely after the CAG meeting. I don't know if we'll have it earlier in August or after the EPA's meeting, but we'll keep everyone up to date as to when that webinar occurs. And we'll also have other opportunities where we'll be presenting on the 5-year review and providing draft comments and things like that to help the public comment on the 5-year review.
So Drew, I have a question.
Absolutely.
And I did not read it, so I apologize. But is there anything in the document that would reference drinking water?
I have not now granted it was only released at 12:30 today. So I have only read the executive summary and I have not seen anything that references drinking water in the executive summary. Based on my review of the first and second 5-year review, they didn't bring those topics up either. So I don't anticipate it to be referenced in this third 5-year review. But it's definitely something I can keep a lookout for. But like I said, I don't anticipate it being referenced and haven't seen it in the executive summary.
Thank you, Drew. Appreciate you coming today.
Yeah, absolutely. If anyone has any follow-up questions as you work your way through this document, please feel free to reach out and let us know.
How many pages is the third 5-year review?
So it's a total of 1,000 pages, over 1,000 pages if you count the appendices. But the initial summary document is 76 pages.
Okay. Great.
So over 1,000 if you read every single thing, 76 if you read their
Oh, you muted.
if you read their summary text. I threw my 76 pages on my computer and it muted myself.
Thank you. Continue.
You know, just perfect beach reading for everybody.
You can read it at the pool.
All right. So the DEC and DEP announced plans to limit muddy water releases from Ashokan Reservoir and enhance flood protections for Lower Esopus Creek. It just happened about a week ago. And there's a link to their press release. And also Paul Melrose, who's our technical advisor for engineering, attends the Ashokan Release Working Group meetings on behalf of the Hudson 7. And Paul, do you want to share the update that you have on your letter that you've been talking about? The ARWC?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, as Rebecca said, on July 1st, DEP had a news conference, and this is really great news. They announced that they would not discharge any water that had turbidities of more than 20 milligrams per liter. That's suspended solids. That's probably equivalent to 15 to 30 NTUs. So no longer will mud be discharged to the Esopus, which eventually comes to our plants that we have to remove and dewater. So it is great news, but it took almost 20 years to accomplish that. They're going to accomplish this by mixing water from the East Basin, which is usually pretty good water, with the West Basin. And if that's not successful, they will stop releasing water to the lower Esopus and send it to the Kensico Reservoir and add alum to remove turbidity and discharge the sludge to the reservoir. And this is a practice that's forbidden to the Hudson 7. So only New York has these New York City has these unique abilities to discharge their sludge to clean drinking water reservoirs. The Ashokan Release Working Group still has to review the details since it's only came out on July 1st. But our other concern is flooding during the shutdown of the Delaware Aqueduct, which is going to happen this September. And the reason for that is because New York City plans to fill the Ashokan Reservoir to near capacity in September so that they have enough water during the 8-month shutdown of the Delaware aqueduct. This means that the reservoir will spill almost immediately during any major storm. And this has really become a concern because NOAA this year is predicting the worst hurricane season ever. And you can see that from the most recent storm. We've never had a Category 4 storm in June. So probably their predictions are going to be right. Now, you may ask why the Hudson 7 should be concerned about flooding. Well, because flooding creates significant pollution. As I pointed out last time, raw sewage, oil, gasoline, and mud can wash into the floodwaters. And if you hear any safety report, they always say never walk through floodwaters because of all the possibilities of catching certain diseases. I was going to ask the Hudson 7 to support my letter of protest to DEC about this, but Ulster County will not support the letter because they want to maintain a good relationship with the city and they feel like they're making some progress. So members of the Ashokan Release Working Group decided to inform the town, since the city has not mentioned it, and then prepare a joint letter supporting several of the which would be supported by several of the environmental groups. Dan was a big help to us because he was the one that really suggested that we write the letters to the town so that they at least know that flooding is a possibility. The letter still is being prepared, so I can't ask the Hudson 7 to support the letter at this time. Now, New York City knows that flooding can cause pollution because they contributed over $30 million to towns upstream of the Ashokan River reservoir to reduce the flood risk and prevent pollution of their reservoir. And I have to say that Dutchess County made the right decision 100 years ago when they banned New York City from building a reservoir in Dutchess County, because it's been a hassle to Ulster County for over 100 years and dislocated many people, and they've been a problem ever since. So I must commend Dutchess County for those regulations. And believe it or not, it's still in place. So that's it. Any questions?
Thank you, Paul. Thank you for your diligence of putting this on trying to bring some attention to this issue.
Yeah, it's incredible advocacy, Paul. Thank you.
Okay.
Great.
I don't see anybody for public comment. Great.
No public comment.
Okay.
But actually, is that the end of our communications?
Yes, it is.
Great. Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm going to old business. The Hudson 7 organizational structure. Rebecca, you want to give a brief update?
Sure. So the Hudson 7 Organizational Structure Committee met last month and made a decision based on all the research that we've done to bring in and to, not to recommend, but to discuss options 1 and 3 and in the document that you all have. Option 1 is to remain a joint municipal board. And option 3 is to establish our own 501c3. And there is a link for all Hudson 7 members to a memorandum. I hope maybe you had a chance to look at it. If not, you can look at it at your leisure. But that just sort of outlines the process that this committee has gone through to get to this point with all the, all the research and all the pertinent information for you to all follow along. So that is what the committee is bringing to the table for discussion now, next month. And there is a motion also on the table this evening. But I'll pause there in case there's more to say.
If anybody's had a chance to go over it, discuss any or review any of it. I think where we ended up, if I could summarize, we ended up with saying we need to remain as a municipal council. We need to act as we have been acting, but we also see leverage in being a 501c3 and having a second piece of that be a 501c3, be under the direction of the intermunicipal council, be able to act on our behalf in raising funds and doing things that we've been talking about. That's kind of where we've settled on moving forward, which means we still think there's benefit in being having a 501c3 as part of our organization. And what I'd like to make a motion for is for us to be able to continue to work with Ian McDonald, Mackey, Butts, and Whalen, right?
Yeah.
Mackey, Butts, and Whalen, and start drafting bylaws for that 501c organization.
Just to fill in a little more info, so as of January of this year, we had Dutchess County, who provided us with $19,999 to work with a lawyer on the 501c3. So as of January, we have $13,039 left to work on new bylaws if we're interested in pursuing the 501c3. And thanks to Devin, that amount was pushed back. It was supposed to expire in March. Devin worked with the county to get it pushed ahead to the end of the year. So that gives the Hudson 7 about 6 months to work with our lawyer on bylaws for 501c3. And I did also invite Emily Vale here tonight to hear this part of the conversation, who we're collaborating on currently for capacity and etc. So Emily, I just want to acknowledge you up there in case you have any comments to make. So, but that's the gist. I just wanted to add that second piece.
So we have a motion. I made a motion to allow Rebecca and I to continue to work on 501c3. Is there a second? Thank you, Russ. Any other discussion in regard to?
I have a question.
Sure.
So I just wanted to clarify what we're deciding. So the recommendation, as I understood it from Rebecca, was that the council consider either staying as an intermunicipal council, that's one of the options, or moving forward as an intermunicipal council and also adding a 501c3. Is that right?
That
So
was option 1 and 3, but when we met, we then focused on option 3 as our preferred method.
oh, that wasn't how I recalled it. Okay, I thought we were recommending either of those options. That's how the memo.
But we did. And we're making a recommendation to move forward with option 3.
So that's the decision that you're putting forward right now?
Correct.
Okay, I didn't think that was how the committee came out, but that's I'm just listening.
I'm open to anybody else's opinion on that.
Well, so I can read what's in the why don't I read what's in the memo, and Emily, if there's any corrections that should be made, let's make them. So in the memo, the outcome during its most recent meeting on Tuesday, June 11th, the group agreed, it's a task force, but the group agreed that it was ready to deliver its conclusions, that options number 1 and 3 in the Hudson 7 organizational structure options worksheet, that options 1 and 3 in the Hudson 7 organizational structure options worksheet is what we were presenting to the full council, not as a recommendation, but as a discussion. And that it would work by establishing a separate 501c3 while maintaining the existing joint municipal board pursuant to the intermunicipal agreement dated February 7th, 2023, for the purpose of building capacity and raising funds for the intermunicipal council's important work. So it's not one or the other. In fact, it's somehow, my understanding is having a 501c3 to support the council's work, the intermunicipal council's work. How that all functions under an umbrella is to be seen. That's my understanding, but clarify if I'm incorrect.
The way I read the memo and what I thought, but I could totally be wrong, was that we were offering either option 1 or option 3 for the council to consider. Option 1 being just to keep the intermunicipal council. Option 3 to have the intermunicipal council plus a 501c3. That's the way those two options read. So I thought that was going to be a discussion at this meeting. I may have misunderstood.
And it can be, Emily. We're putting forward a proposal to go with option 3.
Carry on. It's up to the municipalities what they want to do.
The question is there enough municipality representation here to move this forward? And it's a July meeting and yeah, no, we have Hyde Park, and we have Lloyd, and we have Poughkeepsie, we have Rhinebeck. Town of Poughkeepsie. Town, well, yeah. So I believe, and we have the county. One of the counties. I believe we do have enough representation, even, you know, given this meeting to say, do we want to move forward? That's why I'm putting the motion forward, to move forward with that option. And we have a second, and so now we're into the discussion phase.
And just out of curiosity, because a 501c3 definitely has advantages. How would you determine who would be on it?
So, yeah, good question. Yeah. And that's, if we get authorized to move forward, we will work through that as part of our bylaws to come back with that. Yeah. There's multiple ways to spin that as well.
Oh, absolutely.
You say it would be likely that members of this board would be on that
That is one of the,
administration of the 501.
that is one of the options.
But hopefully other people too will be drawn.
And then we'd have to come back to the bylaws and say, present that to all of you and say, what are your thoughts?
Because the Arlington Business Improvement District is going through that now, trying to become a 501c3, and there are definite advantages to it.
We've been discussing it for a year,
Little more.
a while. Well,
So I feel like this committee has been, a working group has been talking about this for a while now, as we just said. We've, as an internal group, sort of hit a point where we've been talking in circles, and we felt like it was time to get some other input. I think I'm at the point where I'm comfortable with either of these options. I think I would prefer if the motion was tweaked where it was, we go forward with Ian and he starts to develop what the actual framework is, and you bring that back, and then we decide if that's right, because there could be potentially one version of this 501c3 that maybe some people would be less comfortable with than others. For example, if the board is just us, or if the board does involve external, that might affect people's decisions. So I think I want to know that information, and we need to work with Ian to get that information. But I don't know if I want to necessarily say like let's 100% do a 501c3 without having that understanding of what the internal structure would look like.
and I'm fine with that, but that means we're still gonna go ahead and try to develop bylaws. And bring them back and have that definition. And that, and Ian would like us to focus on what method do we want. So if we're going forward with a method, the method is an universal council with a 501c3, develop the bylaws, and then we come back, and you can say, as a board, you can say, we don't like this, right? Because that is another option to say when we get to that point.
Yeah, and I see Emily's hand raised, and that's the way I understood the conversation, intermunicipal board with a 501c3. This way that I understood the decision, but yeah, Emily?
Yeah, and I don't know how these meetings work because I'm new to this committee. So if there's a better way for me to like raise my hand, I'm not a technical advisor. I'm, a guest here for this conversation. Just please let me know. But Devin basically said everything that I was going to suggest. So I just want to underscore what Devin just said. I think in the 501c3 development process, the bylaws are going to be really critical. And so I wonder if the goal is to move towards a 501c3, but perhaps the motion is to move forward establishing the bylaws that then would be like the enabling legislature for the 501c3 status. We just went through a really helpful organizational development process with a group called the Hudson Valley Flood Resilience Network, and it helped us understand governance and who does what and where all of the pieces fit in. We decided not to have a separate entity, that became unnecessary, but it really clarified the roles of all the partners. It was just really helpful in going through that process. So I think breaking out, it's moving towards that 501c3, but the first preliminary step, just like Devin said, is to really clarify how all of these pieces are going to fit together, and then where the 501c3 fits into your existing intermunicipal structure.
Emily, can you just introduce yourself and for those who may not know who you are? And
Hi, everyone. Emily Vale. I'm the Executive Director of the Hudson River Watershed Alliance. We are a regional nonprofit based in Kingston that works across the Hudson Valley to help municipalities work on water issues together and supports community-based watershed groups. And we've been doing quite a lot of work over the past few years to help watershed groups with capacity building, growing leadership, organizational development, and we've got a new contract with River Network, which is a national nonprofit that does this work to help develop the tools and resources that Rebecca mentioned at the top of the meeting. So this is something we're diving really deeply into. It's really wonderful to be here and hear you talk about these issues and challenges and which directions to go in. Really happy to be a guest and be able to listen in today.
I invited Emily because we just took the assessment, the organizational capacity assessment, and I thought it would be helpful for Emily to be here and listen in. So thanks, Emily.
All right, so let's try to keep moving here. And I'm okay if anybody else wanted, I just put myself and Rebecca, but if somebody else says want to be part of that, which was part of the committee to still continue to do that. That's for anybody else.
So should we reframe the motion? based
Well,
on what Devin
let's
said?
amend it. I'm okay with the amendment if everybody else is. So, as amended, that the focus would be on not just 501c3, but developing the bylaws for the 501c3 so that we can make an informed decision about it.
Good.
Does that make sense?
I like that.
Thanks so
Right.
much.
I have a second on the amendment.
I'll make the amendment.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, let's move forward.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Okay. Neither Randy or Dottie are here to talk about what Emily did on the PCB. So do we need to revisit this?
I don't know, Drew, I bet you were at the CAG meeting. If there's anything you think specifically would be important for the Hudson 7, otherwise we'll move on.
I don't think so. It was just a general overview about what it means to be part of the CAG. So I'd say no important updates for the Hudson 7.
Thank you.
Like a Chippy.
So Chippy, so this is I think, final update for now. So Chippy submitted their comments in response to the public comment period. It was 102 pages long, and I've on May the 31st, and they're in our filing, in our files, and you will link to those if you're interested. And the Public Service Commission made a decision on June the 20th to accept the EM and CP 19B, which is construction, the cable in our region of the river. I did finalize our memo on the entire process of segments 19A, which is the prelay mattressing segment that started, the public comment period started last August when I first joined in. Preceded by actually March of last year when the Hudson 7 finished its work and released its findings and asked the municipalities to take it from there in their communications with TDI regarding Chippy. So the memo just outlines everything on the EMCP 19A prelay mattressing, which is meant to happen this year, as well as 19B, which is construction in our segment of the river. So all of that is available to you, our history of the work that we did in that memo. We'll be making a version of it public in this book that we're working on with all of our campaign work, which I think you'll all be astonished by, so much stuff. And so currently now the Hudson 7 is monitoring, waiting on a 24-hour notice at some point this fall. From TDI, from Chippy, when they start coming down the river for relay mattressing, which is nowhere near our intakes, but we're gonna get notice, all the municipalities will get notice.
Municipalities that have water,
That have
water.
drinking
facilities.
water plants,
Yes.
yeah. And I'll just do the back sweep and make sure that you all see those notices in the case you don't. And, what else?
I'm sorry, if I may add, Chippy indicated that they fit in Hudson River.
Oh, you're breaking up, Drew.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Chippy indicated that they finished prelay mattressing in the Hudson River. They just posted an update that all the work for prelay mattressing is finished.
I can't answer that or don't know. Because I thought they were doing some just north of Rhinebeck.
They completed, you know what, I'll look into that and we'll circle back around. Nothing came through the Hudson Sevens email.
I've had no communication, so I don't know.
Yeah, Rebecca, check and we can touch base, but check their website has a progress update on construction, and they just issued a notice for prelay mattressing that it was done. So I would
Yeah.
check there, and then you and I can touch base and
Will,
see
but-
if that's just inaccurate.
We were to get a 24-hour notice in advance of
As they
prelay
approach it.
as they approach the intake, so we'll have to see what happened there. So, okay.
I've received no reports of any boats going down the river either. But let's check it out.
Okay. The other, sorry, that's just news. Paul Melrose has created a suggestion document. It's gonna go to all of the water treatment plants. That's providing you an opportunity, the water drinking plants, to reach out to TDI and ask for free sampling, pre and post construction, during construction.
Excuse me, let me know if you did already ask for it.
If you already didn't ask for it, we're creating the opportunity that was in their public comments. So we've also created a letter that you can use, a draft letter to send to TDI to make that request. And that should be done in a few days, and we can send it out to all leadership in the Hudson Seven to do it. So that's all I've got on Chippy. Thank you, Drew.
We need to check into that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to reports. Michael's not online.
I have an update from
We
you.
do? Oh,
Yes.
okay.
So Michael Forging and Paige is not here, but the update is that a revised DWSP2 drinking water source protection plan draft was sent out to the subcommittee for review. A new critical area was created that more closely aligns with previous subcommittee conversations, along with many other improvements from the previous draft. Final DWSP2 steps are to, one, identify a plan management team to carry the DWSP2 through implementation, and identify a leader point of contact for this PMT, plan management team, and to create an implementation timeline, cost estimates, timelines, etc., that Paige and Mike are working on now and plan to have a draft for the next subcommittee meeting. And the next subcommittee meeting for the DWSP2 committee is being determined now. They had a date and it's being moved to another time. So that's the update on DWSP2. I don't know, Dan, if there's more to say. I think I covered it.
I think so.
Great. So there's that update. There are a couple of other items here. The New York State DEC Hudson River Estuary Program, 2024 Estuary Grant for Local Stewardship Planning. There were two potential applications. One is moving forward, and that's River Keepers, and Shannon's here to talk to us a little bit about that, and our role in their grant application. And the other was the potential for us to have our own, but we weren't able to find a municipal sponsor which kept us from applying, which is feeds the conversation of the 501c3. So we weren't able to move forward with that because we couldn't find a sponsor. With that, Shannon has an update.
Sure. So yeah, I'll just provide a brief overview, kind of reminder of what we were looking to do in this proposal or with this grant. So it would really be implementing the monitoring plan that we've been designing collaboratively with the Hudson 7 over the past year or so. And all of the data would be generated at an ELAP certified lab. So I actually used a laboratory recommended by Dottie, and the samples would be collected using the Riverkeeper monitoring boat. The idea is to collect samples near the intakes, but also to collect samples at some of the tributary mouths that are close in proximity to the intakes or large in size, and so that we can start to get a sense for whether there's one particular tributary that seems to be disproportionately, discharging whatever contaminant we may be concerned with. And so it'll be 2 years of sampling. So we'll do a first year, it'll give us a chance to look at the data. And then we can decide in the second year if we want to sample at the same locations or change the locations. And I've been talking with Rebecca about really making sure that the Hudson 7 is engaged and that some of the municipalities along these key tributaries where we'll sample are engaged. And so we've kind of come up with this idea of having regular quarterly meetings with the Hudson 7, and then bringing in at some point some additional municipalities who are, who would be sort of, representative of the geography of the tributaries that we decide to sample. And those would be quarterly meetings. And at those meetings, we would seek feedback. So, exactly where should we sample? Exactly when should we sample? So for example, let's say that you're seeing, deteriorated water quality every year in September. That would be good information for us. And we would say, well, maybe let's sample in September then. So I think that first meeting will be really important to get feedback and make sure that we are selecting locations and a time for the first sampling event that is, allows us to capture what we're most interested in. So that proposal, we've got some letters of support from legislators. And obviously we have the Hudson 7 support, and Rebecca would be have a role as sort of like a liaison on the project, helping to coordinate with you all as we move forward with these meetings. And that proposal will be submitted very soon in the next week or so. So the project would take place starting in 2025. It'd be 2 years, so it'd be 2025 and 2026. And it would probably kick off. We do that first kickoff meeting in the spring where we'd really sit down and get into the details of, when would be the best time to do this. And the monitoring list is long. We've got, things like PFAS and PCBs, nutrients, disinfection byproducts, DBP precursors. So it's really as much of that list that we put together as possible within the budgetary constraints. But almost the entire budget of the grant is the laboratory costs because, a single PFAS sample is $600. A pharmaceutical sample is $600. So it adds up quickly. And that's what the bulk of the grant is used for, those lab costs. So yeah, any questions?
Just to be clear, what you're asking the council for today is you put out a number, 20 hours of work.
Yeah. So
work over the next 2 years.
yes.
And so we designed what might be a work plan.
Yeah.
That would involve my time and that would move the DWSP2 work forward.
Yeah.
And so we put together this little draft plan that would start in and around January, quarterly meetings with maybe leveraging the DWSP2 committee that exists. maybe others, to get feedback and to build relationships. While we're doing all of the sampling, doing some mapping, to capture partners and bring everybody along with us. So that at the end, we have actually some good data that everybody is aware of and has helped to inform to take whatever those next steps might be.
Yeah,
Correct?
and so Rebecca and I have come up with that work plan and identified specific tasks and a number of hours to be funded through the grant for that coordination work.
So I put together just a little something for the Hudson 7 to be able to see. And I'm not sure, so the grant is due on the 17th of July. And Riverkeeper is offering the Hudson 7 $2,000 to do this work.
Through the grant.
Through the grant, to do this
It's not like
coordination.
Riverkeeper.
Sorry, Riverkeeper is getting the grant and Hudson 7 would be a partner of the grant and would be provided $2,000 is the discussion piece to help to do this coordination. So I put together a little draft work plan just so that we could center what the work would actually be and in a draft form. I just wanted Shannon to speak to you all before sending it around. But I'm
Essentially, it's 10 hours a year. $1,000 a year.
right at my hourly rate.
At her hourly rate.
So it's
To help with the sampling. That's the net.
to coordinate. They're gonna be doing all the work, but I can make sure that the Hudson 7 is really coordinated with Riverkeeper so that we're developing this, we're taking a step actually in landing some of the DWSD work, which is really exciting.
Yeah,
That's-
and so a key role there will be, making sure that we're getting feedback from you all in implementing this work. And then also once we have data that it's actionable, it can be used to, ultimately improve source water quality. And so organizing these discussions and these quarterly meetings so that we can discuss the work that we're doing and how this data can be used.
It's giving Hudson 7 a little bit of money towards the work that I do already. So, and helps us to move some of the DWSP2 planning forward.
Yes.
The objections. So we're gonna be pushing the button. Riverkeeper is gonna be pushing the button.
Did you say you already prepared a work plan?
I did. I made a little draft work plan.
Yeah.
To share. Yeah, I'm happy to share it around.
I'd like to see.
Great. So, what do you think, Gary? Should I send this around for everybody to take a peek at
We
it?
don't have, we can't vote. We're not gonna be getting together to vote. But if nobody has any objections for Riverkeeper to push the button, including Hudson 7, I think we should move forward. That's my recommendation.
Do we need a motion to do the letter?
Do
Do they need a letter of support? from us?
they got it.
Oh, they got it.
We
Yeah,
did that earlier. We've already motioned to go forward with this grant.
yeah,
We've discussed it at pretty much length at the previous meetings. Difference here, is we just added more detail in terms of what our commitment is in terms of direction.
and letters of
We haven't
support.
changed the design point
Right.
to Shannon or anything else, just quantifying it.
I just couldn't recall if the letter was, we support this project, or we
We
will
support
be
the
a partner.
project. We didn't say that.
We didn't say we will be a
No,
partner.
we were supporting the project just to give them one of their letters of support based on the bylaws that allows us to do that. For projects like these, but I think we did we took a vote.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last month, so they got their letter of support. But it didn't mention the partnership because we needed to hammer that out. It's just support for the project.
Would they not want to see that? That we're on board as a partner? Would we not want to revise that?
It will be in the text of the actual proposal. But yeah, let me check with our grant writer and see if we want to amend the letter of support as well. I'll double check on that.
Yeah,
I
Emily.
can chime in. Yeah, so the estuary grants, God, I've applied for so many that I feel like a professional estuary grant applicant these days. Has a separate section for partners who are funded under the project compared to more general letters of support. So if Rebecca's time as Hudson 7 coordinator is funded and the Hudson 7 is an entity under the grant, I'd recommend having it be a letter of collaboration that spells out what Rebecca and or the Hudson 7 is committing to do. They get uploaded in a separate section in the application portal. So I think that would make for a stronger, if it wasn't in the application, the letter of support is, wonderful. And if it is in the budget, I'd recommend doing actually what Devin suggested, is specifying what that work is in a couple sentences.
Okay, great. So we'll get a new draft letter out to you ASAP.
So we need to take a preliminary vote here because we're not going to meet again to vote on it. So I make a motion that we approve this new draft letter to go into the recommendation for us being a part of the project.
And my time, right, for the grant project. To work I'm already really doing.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So motion.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
We're on the last step, which was all municipalities pre-qualification in the state system.
Yeah, and this is quick. I had suggested that this was an important step that municipalities needed to take, and I was just wrong. It's an important step that nonprofits need to take. So keep it in mind if you get your 501c3 status, but otherwise your municipalities are all set.
That's what I thought, Dan, because we've had no problem applying or getting it. So Rebecca
I just
and
had a different lens on, so, but
okay.
yeah.
Very good. Okay. How about our water treatment plant committee?
Yeah, I can update unless Nick, you want to update?
No,
You good?
I'm good. Yeah.
Talking a lot, so just check. Okay, so the water treatment plant committee met in June. And the committee decided that it wanted to recirculate a survey that we had done on an educational opportunity for the Hudson 7 that's unique to drinking water plants in a watershed with a river. And so we ended up going back and we created a new letter. It was suggested that we give a little more information and detail. So we created a letter with a QR code for people to take survey, for more water operators to take the survey, along with a paper survey, if anybody's interested in that and doesn't want to do a digital survey. Thanks, Dan. It's going. And our fact sheet to help water operators, to give them a little more information. We've done that. It's gone to all the municipal leaders to be distributed. And I did also bring a paper copy just to make it easy if anybody wants that to bring back and to make copies for their staff. And we've pushed the deadline back to August the 1st so we can get more input. We have 9 operators who took the survey, which is pretty good, but we want more. So that was one of the things that we worked on at our meeting. The other thing is the committee decided that it would be really great to be able to do an operator meeting at each of the drinking water plants next year, every 2 months. And they would rotate, and it would be for the water operators to visit plants and to be able to, grow their relationships essentially. So we're going to be putting something together that can help the water drinking plants to organize a schedule so that we can get staff to rotate and meet up at different plants and build their relationships, which is really exciting. So we're going to start working on that, and there'll be a tour or a meetup every other month. So we hit all 5 drinking water plants before October of next year. That's a really great advancement. And finally, we're working right now to meet with the Hyde Park water plant. Mike Keating has offered to organize with Alon or Alan a tour for the water operators throughout the Hudson 7. So we're hoping to put that together sometime September or October, which is a big deal. So we're looking forward to that. Anything else, Nick, that I missed?
No, I think you hit everything we spoke about, and I think just to reiterate that the chance to network with the other communities and the other municipalities. But personally, I haven't been to or really know anyone. It's huge for everybody.
Nick, following our tour, you and some of your team went to Lloyd.
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So I was not a part of that trip, but my foreman and a couple of my guys stopped over at Lloyd. Honestly, just to go down to the riverfront and see the original plant. Apparently their plant and our plant are very similar. Built right around similar times. So when my foreman stopped over, he ended up catching up a couple of the Lloyd fellas and spoke. So just that, quick stop yielded a decent relationship. So we look forward to catching up with some of those guys we got this. Well, right down the road.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm excited about that.
Okay. New business. 3 minutes.
Yep, so we adopted a social media policy last month, but we forgot to make a motion to appoint me as an authorized agent to post. So I'm just raising that here just to make sure.
So I'd like to make a motion to appoint Rebecca as our authorized agent on our social media sites.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Great. And just so that you all know, our Facebook and Instagram accounts are up, which is really cool. And I turned off all the comments. Just to make sure, just as you wish. And the same is true with the YouTube channel. I turned off all the comments there as well. So now we're all up on social media. And I'm posting about our meetings and agendas and just pointing the public to our materials that exist that you've all approved.
I was hoping to have time to go over our old business list. But I think it deserves more time, so I would like to ask each one of you to look at our old business list, because I believe that there's some things on this list that can and should be removed. I know you're carrying them forward. If they happen to come up again, we can always add them back in, right? It's not that it's anything else, but, things, like the CSX bridge. I don't know if we need to continue to carry the CSX bridge, but I think we need to have a discussion about each and every one of these to make sure that this is something we still should be monitoring and watching and trying to move forward. The important things like, salt front study that Paul was driving, we need to stay up to date on that. The vessels anchoring near intakes, we always need to be monitoring that. Because the moment we take our eye off of it, they'll do it, but there's been laws passed now that prohibit them. But I think we gotta be a watchdog for ourselves. So I'm just gonna ask that each of you review that list, and then we hopefully get through it very quickly in our next meeting, okay? All right. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn at 6:00. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay cool.
Amanda, thanks for being here. Sorry, you came in late. Appreciate you being here.
For us, Dan left, but Dan coaches.
Thanks,
a 10 to
everybody.
12
Appreciate it. Thanks for your input, Emily.
10-year-old, 12-year-old
Much
team.
appreciated.
They're now in sectionals.